Yo, we talking about groceries on FBA. Yo, easy. Yeah. J to the O, the Mayos. Groceries on FBA. What you know about that? Step your game up, suck it.
Okay, it's 8 o'clock, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see. There we go. Yep, tonight we're talking about security in general. I talked to Shawn, mentioned to Shawn that it'd be a good thing for us to review. I just saw your question in the chat, Barry. We're going to be talking about protecting your Amazon account from hacking, from phishing attempts, just general basic account security. I've seen several stories in the past month or so of people getting their Amazon account hijacked. And, you know, typically what happens when they hijack your Amazon account, they go in and change your password first off to lock you out, and then they will change your bank account information and the notification email address. So once they change that, the next time you get a disbursement, it goes to your bank or their bank account instead of yours. And even when you catch it and you go in and report to Amazon or you change it back, sometimes there's up to a week delay before they get it sorted out and get you your money sent. So at a minimum, it's a disruption, and on the outside, it could be a lot more damaging. So I'm just going to go over some basic stuff, and a lot of this may be familiar to you guys, but it's always something that's good to keep in mind. This is kind of along the lines of what I do full time for a living, so it's kind of something near and dear to my heart. I deal with the after effects of this quite a bit. First thing I want to talk about is how to know whether or not you're on a legitimate site. Let me go ahead and share my screen out. You know, a lot of times you'll get an email. First of all, if you ever get an email that says your password's been compromised, or we need you to verify something on your account, or this is important, you sign in right now, and it has a link in the actual email address, do not click on that. You know, a lot of times they're okay, but the majority of times it's very easy to create an email or a document that says Amazon.com as the link, and then when you click on it, it takes you to some other random site. So always, if it's anything to do with an account that you care about, always type in the actual email address or the actual website address. So for instance, if I got an email from Amazon that said I need to go in and change my password, I would type in sellercentral.amazon.com. And that way, I have a better chance of making sure I'm going to the right website. Anytime you're dealing with a website where you put your name and password in, especially if it involves any kind of banking information or account information, you always want to look for this padlock up in the upper right-hand corner. Hopefully you guys can see this where my mouse is hovering. It'll be right to the left of HTTPS, and if you're on Chrome, it looks like this. If you're on Firefox, it'll look like that. See the padlock that's closed. And if you're on Explorer, it will have some variation of a padlock as well. What that tells you is that page has a valid, oh, I'm sorry. Can't understand me still? I did not see the chat. Okay, let me reset my microphone, see if that helped. Okay, how about now, Pam? Is that better? Yes, I'll click back over to Chrome there, Barry. Or actually, I'm on Chrome. Pam, can you hear me now? Is it less garbled, better off? Hopefully, I didn't lose audio completely. Okay, so I'm getting a yes from Barry. Good deal. Okay. Sorry about that. My microphone must have been loose. This is Chrome again in the upper left-hand corner. Here, let me see if I can highlight it for you guys, make it easier to see. Well, that didn't really help any. Okay. Sorry, I was going to try to highlight it, but essentially in this upper corner, and hopefully you guys can see this, right next to the web address, there's a little padlock, and it's on all major browsers will have some form of this padlock. What that means when the padlock is locked versus open, that means they have a valid what's called a SSL or security certificate. And without getting too much detail, because it's super nerdy and boring, essentially to get a valid certificate, you have to apply for a certificate, pay for it, and then the certificate issuing authority, which there's a handful, has to validate that you actually own that domain and that you who you say you are. So if I was to apply for for instance, an SSL certificate for Amazon.com, they would pull the domain registration for Amazon.com, contact that owner, and say, "Hey, is this Todd guy legit? He wants an SSL certificate." Obviously, they would say no, and it would be denied. So this closed padlock means that this website is who they say they are, and they've been validated as a legitimate person. So no matter who you bank with, no matter who your credit card is, if you ever see this padlock undone, do not enter anything on that page, because that means that they don't have a valid certificate. It could be something as simple as it's expired, or it could be a lot more sinister. But that's number one rule of thumb. That's basically like someone showing you your driver's or their driver's license when you identify them. And again, on Chrome, it's a green padlock. Green actually indicates a higher level certificate on Chrome. Inventory Lab, that's just a regular padlock, and it actually shows who the SSL certificate's registered to, Inventory Lab Incorporated. And then in Explorer, it shows a padlock, but you can hover over it and click, and it will show you, who the site's supposed to be. And then if you say, should I trust the site, it will, kind of explain who it's referenced to. You also obviously want these always matched, but as a general rule of thumb, as long as you have the padlock, you're okay. So anytime you get anything requesting account information, or you just want to be super sure that you're not being tricked, don't click on the email link. Just go type it in the actual address bar. While we're in the topic of signing on, one thing to be very careful with also is your password. Back in the when the internet was first starting, they were just kind of grappling with the password rules, and they started coming out with new rules about 6 characters, 8 characters, uppercase, number, that type of thing, and get to the point where passwords were very complex, which was a good thing. But kind of what happened as a trend was people started using the same password on multiple sites, because it's one thing to remember, Nana Nana Boo Boo 737 for one site, but when you have 30 sites, it's different to remember a long phrase for each one. So that led to the problem of people using passwords on multiple sites, which, as long as it's a secure password in and of itself, that's not bad. But what happens is not all sites are created equal, and not all take security as seriously. So if you use that same password on a throwaway site, like say you sign up for a forum, Inventory Lab forum, for instance, they're secure sites. So I'm not picking on them, but sign up for that forum and you use the same password that you use on all your sites, include your bank. Well, Inventory Lab is not in the business of maintaining high security encrypted web pages, so they could probably reasonably easily get hacked. If so, whoever hacks their website would have your email address and your password. So that means that it's just a matter of them trying it on Wells Fargo, American Express, Discover, trying all the sites until they find one where you're using the same password. And obviously, there's a good chance that you're using it on more than one site, and then once they have that, then they're in. So One of the best things you can do is to have a different password on every single site. That's, like I said, pretty much impossible to keep tabs on. So there's luckily a variety of free web pages and websites that make that easier on you. We don't have any discounts set up with any of them or affiliate link or anything, mainly because the majority of them are free or have some component that's free. So the one I use is LastPass. There's several other good reputable ones. You just want to make sure that it's reputable and has good security, and it's a good company. But LastPass is free, with the only caveat is you have to pay to have the mobile app version. But what LastPass does, and I pull up a website to kind of demonstrate it for you, is with LastPass, you have one master password. And that password should be as long as you can type. For security purposes, several words are more secure than just one big long word. So rather than supercalifragilisticexpialidocious 12, if you would use a combination of like hat, boy, beach, bicycle, 57. You know what I mean? So several common words that you can remember and string together. The longer the password, the higher the complexity. From a odd standpoint, there's some, depending on how it's encrypted, using a dictionary word could be worse. But in general, they're not trying to crack with dictionary words. They're tracking character by character. So multiple words is better. So the idea with LastPass is you come up with one long password phrase that you can remember. A lot of people recommend, you can pick a place that's meaningful to you, your favorite color, something that makes you happy. So, sushi, purple, diamond, Corvette, so something like that, string it together. And that's your one super secure, hard to guess password that you remember. That password unlocks all your other passwords that you don't even have to know what they are. So let me demonstrate. It may make a little more sense for you. I just Googled, free sign up to find the web page that I didn't have an account on to show you how it works. But say I was setting up an account on this website, and this is what I do for every single account. You put in your email address, and what says enter password must be at least 4 characters, which that's actually very low security requirements. But whenever I have to enter a password, I'm signed into LastPass. That's what this shows. I click on the little password arrow sign, and that will generate a password for me. So I can say how long I want it to be, if I want it to be pronounceable, which goes back to the words, so if you want to memorize it for some reason. Whether or not you want to use uppercase, lowercase, numbers, special characters, how many numeric characters. Avoid ambiguous characters means, don't use a lowercase l like that because it looks like a 1, etc. So you can tweak it, make it any length you want. Obviously, the longer the better. But I usually stick with 12 to 15. So let's say we want to make this 13 just to be weird. And you can just generate until you see one you like. So I'm going to go with this one. So as you can see, this is a password that probably no human could memorize. It's an @ T, ampersand, etc. But we're going to use that password. When I click use, it offers to save it for me. My username, here's the same password. It creates a file for it, or an entry for it, and I click Save Site. So what that does is it enters the password in the blank for me, and it saves it as a site. So let me just give this a name so we can get to that point so you can see how it plays out. So I'll just say Shawn Mayo Group, business. Yeah, we'll pick classy. I'll agree. Yeah. Create my website. Okay, I don't want to do any of this stuff, so let me just get to the point where we'll do that. Group. And I'm going to do free. Hopefully this isn't convoluted because I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like. Okay, so I'm signed in. I made the web page. I'm done at this point. So now if I go back, let's cancel all this. I'm going to log out. Okay, so I'm done with this website. I don't want to mess with it anymore. The next time I come in to sign in this web page, I'm already signed in the LastPass. I just click on this box. Let me get back to where I was at because it's not taking it. Sorry, guys. I should have tested this before I went in. There we go. So I already have an account for it, and this is because I generated multiple passwords. So let me go ahead and delete that so it's not confusing. Okay, so when I go back in, it says, okay, you have an account here. I get to pick which one I want to sign in with. It plugs both my username and that same crazy password we picked, and I click sign in. So I don't have to remember each of those incredibly difficult passwords, but I can use a different password on every site, which is the key. So webs.com, which I'm sure is a great site, but it is, as you can see, there's no padlock. So a lot of the sites that save money, they will only use HTTPS on the sign in. Let me see if that's the case. Okay. Yeah. So here's a good example. See, there's no padlock on this website. What that means is when I type my email address and my password, anyone that can, it's called sniff, or anyone that can listen in on my conversation on the internet can see my username and password. So in other words, if you're at a Starbucks or Chick-fil-A with free Wi-Fi, it's very easy to use free software and to listen on the wireless network. If you're at a hotel, even if it's your home, if someone can get a presence on your network and sniff all the traffic, view all the traffic, when you hit sign in, they will see toddryan@gmail.com go across, and they will see that password plain as they go across. So, in an instant, they have a username and password. Obviously, webs.com isn't that concerned about security, so this password will probably be easily compromised at some point. But if I only use it on this website, I don't care. They can use this username and password as much as they want to, and they will never, ever gain my information. So that's the value of using a different password on each website. Again, keeping track of that is a nightmare. I use LastPass. That's what I recommend. You're free to look around and see what else you can find. It's free. The way it works is you have that one master password. You create individual site passwords, and it saves it, so it will sign in for you. If you pay the fee, which is, I believe it's $9.99 a year, you can run a mobile app as well. So when you're on your iPhone or Android, you can sign in. The nice thing about LastPass is it is heavily encrypted. The technology they use to encrypt all your passwords, the last estimate I saw was that it would take a little bit over 100 years for someone to break a file. So even if they got your password file and dedicated all the computer resources that we're capable of nowadays, it would take over 100 years to figure out your password. The other nice thing is it uses what's called a key system to protect your password information. So basically how that works is a key, both LastPass has what's called a public key that's publicly available. It's basically just a long string of text that's a validation. You generate what's called a private key. So when you first sign in, they'll have you move your mouse or type numbers or letters or whatever. And that is a key that is calculated, and it only belongs to you. Basically, it validates that that's your information. So when it's stored at LastPass, it's stored with your private key. So even though they have the data, they can't unencrypt it, only you can. So your data is completely safe with them. So anyway, I didn't want to turn this into a commercial for LastPass, but that is something to take a look at, especially if you use it for nothing else in your bank and your Amazon account, that type of thing. And I'll paste that into the chat. So brings us back to Amazon. So when I sign Amazon, this is a password that I couldn't tell you the first thing about. I'm sure it's complex. It puts a random number of dots here, so it could be this length, longer or shorter. But I can assure you it's not a word. It's not something easily guessable, and it's something that even I don't know. Excuse me. But when I go to Amazon Seller Central, I just click sign in. After I choose which account, it supplies the credentials, and away I go. I don't have to memorize a password or fool with it. So that gets me right in. So I have a maximum security password, and I don't have to mess with it. So that's another thing you want to do. So if someone does compromise one of your accounts, including your Amazon account, if you use the same password on Amazon that you use on your Capital One credit card, then you're up a creek at that point. Another thing to remember is the absolute most important password in your entire life, basically, is the password for your primary email. Reason for that is all these sites have a forgot your password link. So if I can't remember my password, I can reset it. Well, every single forget your password link, well, the majority of them, some of them use phones, but the majority of them will send an email link to your email address that says, hey, I understand you're having trouble with your password. Click here to reset it. If someone has your email address, it's just a matter and password, and they can get into your email account. It's just a matter of going to all the banking sites, putting in that email address, and clicking forget your password. If you have an account there, they will helpfully send a link, and then they can reset it, and away they go. So if you can only memorize one complex password and you don't want to use LastPass, make it for your email account. Make it just as crazy as you can possibly stand it, because that's the one you want to guard. Keep tabs on the most. Let me close this tab so we get to it. So we covered LastPass. All modern computers nowadays, not so much Macintosh, but Windows have built-in antivirus software. It comes with Windows. It works fine. Haven't really seen any issues with it. There are better products out there, but it's free, and for what it does a good job. It protects you against viruses and some malware. And malware basically is defined as software that means you harm, essentially. So it's not really a virus because it doesn't attempt to replicate itself or doesn't attempt to necessarily spread or steal data. It just attempts to usually either route you to a different website, or uses your computer to attack other computers, or there's a variety of things it does. One of the biggest symptoms of having malware or adware or even a virus on your computer is a significant slowdown. So if your computer seems to be running super slow or getting slower and slower noticeably, especially if it's a drastic change, that's the very first thing to suspect if you're not getting hardware errors, is some type of malware or virus. A lot of them are fairly harmless. They'll just, when you try to type in Google, it'll send you some other web page. Or when you try to go to Amazon, they'll send you the Sears, something along those lines. Some of them have pop-ups. Some of the popular ones will put a icon down in your system tray and say, your system's infected. Please click here, and they'll force you to buy an antivirus package. A variety of things. There's several solutions for preventing against malware and removing malware. The one I use the most that I recommend is called Malwarebytes. And it's kind of a nerdy play on words. Bytes is, a computer term, and obviously they're saying bytes as in it stinks. It is a free package for home use. I've installed it on probably 100 PCs for people. It's a super easy, simple download. It's free. It works fine. The free version, it's not one of those software packages where it's kind of gimpy, you limp along and can use part of the features. It will do a thorough job of cleaning most malware from your computer and protecting you once you install it. The paid version, the main difference is with the free version, which is what I have, and I'll show you the interface here real quick. The main difference is the free version is manual. So I have to go in there and run it either weekly or daily, monthly, whatever, just some type of maintenance schedule. You have to go in there and run it, and you have to go in there and update the database each time. So, and actually, I'm using a different paid version, but I kept Malwarebytes on there, and so my database is so old. But you go in there and it will update, and they have updates sometimes multiple times a day, but at least daily. So you go in there and you do an update. It updates the database, and what the database contains is, as they discover new malware, they put in the database, what to look for to spot the malware. So elements of code, behavior, thumbprints, all that stuff. So it updates you to the newest database, which, as I mentioned, this is the 9th database they've released today on the 24th. And you do a scan. So you just have to do a manual scan. I'm not going to do a scan because it hits the PC a little hard when you run it. But basically, when you hit a scan, it will scan your computer memory. It will scan your computer hard drive. It will scan any attached drives you have, looking for any instances of malware. When it finds a malware, if it's a nasty malware, it will automatically, what they call, quarantine it. So it will move it where you can't get to it and it can't hurt anything. Some forms of malware, it will partially quarantine them and say you have to reboot, because if they're loading in memory or they're hooking your browser, they can't remove it. And some borderline malware, they'll say, hey, this could be malware. Do you want us to delete it? A lot of those fall into the vein of back when the emoticons were popular, you could download the toolbar for your browser that will let you use emoticons. It was free, and it really didn't do anything malicious other than it would try to hijack your search engine. So it would try to force you to use, I think, Yahoo search or something like that each time. So they were doing it to earn money. It was more of an annoyance, but, people kind of fight over the definition of malware, just like spam. But regardless, this does, I would say, 95 to 97% of the malware that I see, both in the corporate world and at home. I will tell you, if you have teenagers in the house, or if you have anybody in the house that is addicted to graphic video depictions of scantily clad people, those are the two biggest locations for malware, viruses, adware, that type of thing. Teenagers love to share movies, use things like BitTorrent, the latest software websites, and those are typically just tore up with various forms of malware. So I would suggest, if you have a teenager in the house, or if you have someone with a kind of a wandering eye towards questionable art, I would make sure you run this at least once a week, just because it can cause problems and spread to other computers. But Malwarebytes, it's free. Download it. If you have trouble with it or anything, you can send us a message and we can walk you through it, getting it installed. But go in there, once a week I go in and I will do a virus scan and I will do a malware scan. And 9 times out of 10, it doesn't find anything, but if it does, it takes care of it. I don't have to worry about it. So that's one of the things that we definitely recommend. There are some paid antivirus software packages. Let me hit the chat window real quick. Sorry. Yep, Shawn said that they use Malwarebytes plus AVG. AVG is a good virus scanner. Really, AVG, WebRoot. Let's see, what was the other one? F-Protect or F-Secure. Those are all decent antivirus packages. It's just pretty much which one you like and can stick with and won't pay the subscription fee for. Like I said, the one that comes with Microsoft does a pretty good job. I'd say in general, if you're not a high risk internet surfer, meaning you don't really go to the kind of not publicly acceptable websites, you'll be fine with that. And Shawn looks like they're posting a link for free AVG. That works fine also. But as long as you're running something, that's the bare minimum. You just want to make sure you keep it updated and that you scan. A lot of the antivirus software packages will scan automatically. Only thing you have to watch on that is if you don't leave your computer on all the time. I think they'll default to 10 a.m. or 2 a.m. or something like that. If your computer's not on, it's not going to scan. So it doesn't hurt. I'll do like a malware scan and an antivirus scan at the same time. I'll just boot up the computer on a Saturday or whatever, fire up Malwarebytes, do a database update, fire up your antivirus, do a database update, and just click scan down on both of them. It will hammer your PC, but it'll get taken care of. Barry installed and it's scanning now. Excellent. And yes, Pam, it is being recorded. Hopefully you're not having computer problems caused by malware, but if so, this will help you up, hopefully. But yes, it will be recorded, and that's usually posted within a couple of days afterwards. So yeah, do the malware scan, keep tabs on that. There's, a couple other defenses that you can use on your PC. They're kind of beyond, what the average person really needs. But if you are, if you have difficulties with anything in your house, or if you're having mine had 25 bolos, that's funny. If you're having persistent problems, like I said, message us and we can give you a hand and give you some tips and pointers on what you can do. Let's see. What was one of the other things I was going to show you? Obviously, I think we touched on this initially, but as far as hacking computer systems, you read all the time about TJ Maxx, Target, Home Depot. Everybody and their brothers gotten compromised at some point. I would say at least 9 out of 10 times the compromise came down to one of two causes. The first was either what they call third-party social engineering or compromising, and that's like in I think it was the TJ Maxx or Home Depot breach. There's an air conditioning contractor that had access to, let's say Target, because I can't remember which one, but access to Target's network because a lot of corporations have computer controlled AC, and this company would connect remotely and assist them with, tuning AC or having any issues or whatever. Um, that vendor was compromised because, like when we talked about webs.com, an AC vendor, their number one priority is not information security, and hardening websites. Their priority is learning air conditioners. So someone hacked their website and then used them to get access to Target, because Target allowed them access to their network as a trusted vendor. So that's kind of another example of, they steal one password and they see what they can do. Here's somebody that hacked some poor HVAC contractor, compromised them, and then used it to take down one of the big retailers. The number one vulnerability for just about any company is what's called social engineering. And social engineering is where you trick people or manipulate people or coerce people to give you information. A couple of the obvious examples, and in my day job, every time what's called a phishing email slips through, we have at least 2 or 3 employees that will still bite on it, no matter how much training we've done and warn them not to. But emails slip through and they'll say, warning, your Gmail account is almost out of space. Click here to get more space. Or this is your IS help desk. Your Outlook account has been compromised. Please click here to sign in so we can make sure you're secure. It'll be something that sounds not exactly perfect or not like it came right from someone at your company or a friend, but it sounds pretty close. And they prey on certain averages. Like most people have an Outlook account. If they work in the business sector, they use Exchange and Outlook. So there's going to be a small set of people that go, oh, yeah, I've got an Outlook account, and I better take care of this. And you click on the link, and it takes you to a page that says username and password. You sign in, no matter what you type, it says, okay, thank you, your account's been fixed, or, they give you some kind of good feedback, and you go along your merry way. Well, what you don't realize is that's a phishing attempt. They send it out, and they're just trying to collect as many usernames and passwords as they can. So then they'll circle back in a day, a week, a month, or a year later, and they will use those usernames and accounts to attack, whichever organization they send it to, or, to attack other organizations. There's various forms. There was actually about 10 years ago at a conference for information technology security experts. So these are the guys that are supposed to be, protecting the networks. It was a conference where they were learning about security, and one of the vendors gave everybody the free thumb drives. Those little things that look like almost like a chapstick or lipstick tube, about that long. You plug it into a USB port, and it's a storage device. Back in the day, those are pretty expensive, and they were a great thing to hand out. Well, they handed out like 250, 300 of them with their logo on them. So people grabbed them, plugged them in their computer, and started using them. Well, those had a harmless virus, but virus nonetheless on it that would just, send an email from their computer. So social engineering, it affects people at all levels and all skill sets. All it takes is really some unwarranted trust, and they have you. So I can say with complete confidence, there is not a single credit card or bank or Amazon affiliate or subsidiary that will ever email you and ask you for your username and password. They will never call you and ask you for your username and password. No bank will ever ask you to key in your account number, in an email. No one will ever do that. So don't ever fall for that. If in doubt, you can do like we mentioned and just open your browser and type in the website address, or the number one best thing to do is to flip over your card and call the number on the back and say, hey, I just got an email from you guys. Did you need something? Blah, blah, blah. 9 times out of 10, they'll take information and say, no, we will never do that, that type of thing. So never, ever respond to an email inquiry asking for any information because it's just not legit, especially nowadays. So that's the phishing piece.
Hey, Todd, it's Val. When you get a chance, I have a question, so just let me know.
Yeah, no problem. I was coming up for air anyway, so that's a good time.
I have, I don't even know why I haven't asked you guys this previously, but have you ever heard of that? I'm sure you have, seat cleaner or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Is that not good, or is it good? Because everywhere, even like my old job, that's what they had installed on my computer, and it was the last computer that Uncle Shawn and I, it took just a complete, dump on.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only program that like I would constantly try to uninstall it and it would come up with an error. So is that something you should have and they do that like as a protection, or is that something that's like, not good?
I personally do not like CC Cleaner or Hijack This, which is another very popular free utility.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, reason being is those rely on you knowing exactly what you're doing or what's allowed or what shouldn't run or what you can delete. So Malwarebytes is super simple. You don't have to know anything about computers. You just download it, click scan, and just listen to it. CC Cleaner and Hijack This can mess up your computer if you click the wrong thing. They will, like, Malwarebytes maintains a database, and it says, okay, if a program file has this signature, it's this size, and it does this in the registry, it does all this, then we know it's, stinky.com malware. CC Cleaner and Hijack This just look at your computer and say, yeah, that's kind of weird. Are you sure this is okay? And it may be a completely legitimate Microsoft process. It may be something that, part of your backup software or something completely legit. We very, very, very rarely use it to remove something specific that we know needs to be removed, but we don't ever use it just because it's too easy to shoot yourself in the foot. I tell people it's like shaving with a straight razor. You can do some incredible stuff with it, but you got to be on your game every single time or you're going to end up bleeding. It's the same thing. Malware is like a safety razor. You got to go out of your way to try to hurt yourself with it, and I don't know if it's even possible.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure about that part of it. So
I've got some family members who have, which is why I was alluding to that earlier. Some family members that have some adult children that like viewing the female form on websites. They kind of have quite the addiction, and about every 2 or 3 months, I have to go over their house and just, bring their
porno.
Exactly. It's porn. Yeah, I have to bring their computer back from the dead because it is just destroyed. Because nothing's for free. So if you're on the free porn website, they're getting something from you.
Right.
And every single time, it's just a matter of them running a Malwarebytes database update and scan, and then a virus update and scan. It fixes. There's only been one instance that I had to do some, pre-intensive stuff to get the computer back. But for 99% of the people, Malwarebytes, AVG works fine. I use WebRoot. I've used the Microsoft. All that will be fine.
Now, are they since we've been going over like AVG, malware, and all that, are those things you would want to have both on your computer, or is it one or the other that you should have? Like, will they conflict with each other if you have both, or is something?
No, it will not conflict because it's really two different things. There's a few products that try to do both. Really, you have viruses, you have worms, and you have malware/adware. And there's some technical differences, but just at a high level, a virus is something that will try to modify a program you already have installed or attached to it. So, case in point, and I don't know, I don't think. Well, yeah, there actually was one. Sorry. Case in point, you could get a virus that modifies Word.exe. So every time you launch Microsoft Word, it opens a browser or changes a file or destroys something on your hard drive. That's a virus. It's like a human virus.
Right.
A worm is something that your computer gets infected with, and it doesn't want anything from you. It just wants to use your computer. So whenever you see on the news about like Chick-fil-A's website being taken down, or what's called denial of service attack, that is typically a worm that installs something on thousands of computers, and then at a certain time they all activate, and they use that to bring down the commercial website. So
like with the AVG, then it brings up like AVG as once you download it. I don't know if there's an option for this because all I've ever done is just download it and use that.
Yep.
But it brings it up that's now like the browser that you use. So there's no way of, I don't know if there's a way. I've even tried to like change my homepage, my search engine, and it's always like AVG. So is that what it should be? Or, I mean, in order for it to work, you have to use that search engine, right? Like if I also have Chrome or Firefox installed on my computer, it's not going to protect, will it still protect those browsers, or will it only protect that AVG browser?
It will protect virus standpoint, but not everything else. And I don't like the products that do that. I mean, not a knock against AVG. I've used them in the past, but I don't like that because I don't think there's any company out there that puts more money and effort into security other than Microsoft, who is, the people who maintain Explorer and Edge.
Right.
Mozilla, which does Firefox, and Google, which does Chrome. I mean,
Right.
if there's anything wrong with those browsers, they're going to fix it first, rather than AVG or someone else. So I don't like the ones that do that. You don't have to use their browser, and they'll still protect you from antivirus. But there's very few products out there that do antivirus and malware. So try to do both, but I haven't seen any that really nail it on all fronts. So that's why there is some overlap. But that's why I recommend, pick your favorite antivirus package. I don't like McAfee or Norton just because I think they're kind of predatory in the way they do advertising and subscriptions, and they like
money.
Yeah, so that irks me. That irks me. But AVG is fine. WebRoot is fine. The base Microsoft security package that comes with Windows is really fine. But do that plus Malwarebytes, because then there may be some overlap, but they coexist fine. You can run them at the same time, and between the two of them, they will catch 99% of the stuff.
I always have such a struggle with this with my security. Like it's always a problem. So,
and it's relentless. And a lot of the, like where I work, it's kind of a high target for hackers, and the majority of stuff comes from overseas. I mean, Russia, China, a lot of international companies, that's their bread and butter. There's billions of dollars that they steal every year from companies. So it's not just defending against the, the pimply faced 12-year-old kid, that's learning computers that lives down the street. You're defending against a room full of Russian, computer whizzes that are just trying their best to either interrupt commerce or steal money. Not to dig against Russians, but, their laws are a little bit looser. That's why they headquartered there.
Right. Okay.
One other thing about the encryption thing too is the encryption like Amazon uses. It is considered actually a military asset. So if you like software companies that have this AES form of encryption aren't allowed to export it to a lot of countries because it's so powerful and could obviously have so many uses that it's protected by federal law as a military technology. So. It would take me about 20 minutes to go through the math behind how they do this encryption, but just suffice it to say that you can trust. When you see a green padlock, there's not much else you could do to make it trustworthy. You can feel safe about that. It's very good technology. The one other thing, let's see, and if anybody has a question, feel free to post it in chat or just speak up. But the one other thing I always advocate for, especially for for everybody really, is some form of backup, and not necessarily your documents and stuff on your computer, because those are important, but more the pictures. Nowadays everybody takes pictures with digital cameras. They take videos. You amass a bunch of pictures, and it's not like the old days where you save negatives and you have albums. They're all stored on a computer. I can't tell you how many friends I've had that their hard drive has crashed and they've just lost, it's just sickening. They've lost 10 or 15 years of pictures of their kids, and they had no other backups because they're just stored. So that's one thing you definitely want to take a look into, especially if you have pictures that are important to your documents. There are several free options that you can use for backup. One of the most popular ones, and I know Shawn uses it, is Dropbox.com. Dropbox is free. It helps if you could type. Dropbox is free for a certain amount of space, and you can get additional free space by recommending it to others. I think it works best for documents, the free version, because the photos add up pretty quickly. Nowadays, an iPhone 6S photo could be, 4, 5, 6 meg in size. If you take a 30-second video, it could be 50 to 60 meg. You can burn through what you get free from Dropbox pretty quick on that. So this is good. You can pay, and it's not a lot of money. You can pay and use for photos, but it's great for documents. One thing not to overlook is Amazon has a cloud backup option. Let me see if I remember the name of it. Amazon Cloud Drive. That's free if you have Prime. You can save unlimited photos. wait for it to come up here. You can save an unlimited amount of photos. You can save a certain amount of videos and a certain amount of documents. So photos are unlimited. Videos and documents are restricted. If you have Prime, it's a free perk for you, I guess, basically. So it won't cost you any money. It's stored at Amazon's data center. So obviously it doesn't get much better than that. It's fast. It works fine. There we go. I don't know why it's downloading new one. Let me find the link for it so you guys can just install it. Amazon Cloud. It is not quite as automated as some of the other ones like Dropbox. Once you install it, it's just there's another folder that shows up on your computer, and anything you put in there gets backed up. So easy peasy, you don't have to think about it. Amazon Cloud Drive, you have to actually add folders to it that you want to have backed up. Yeah, there we go. So say Prime Photos, this is the free version. You get unlimited photo storage, which is huge because, you know, up as recently as 2 years ago, I was paying, okay, go away. I was paying about $100 for 100 gig of a backup, which sounds like a lot, but, you know, I was probably 20 gig away from maxing that out, $100 a year. This is free for unlimited. So you can take as many photos as you want, any size or resolution, and upload them all you want, and they're backed up there. You get 5 gig for videos and files. So that's what I was referencing. If you have videos or files, you can only store 5 gig there. So that may or may not work for you. If you need unlimited everything, that's a bargain at $59.99 per year. Like I said, though, it is not, let me see if I can find the interface to show it to you while mine's installing. It is not as easy to upload or to sync as the other ones because you actually have to select a file and upload it there. So let me, sorry about this. It must have updated, and so now I have to sign in again. But this is where I can use my handy dandy LastPass. Move this box. Copy my password. Paste it. This is weird. I just ran this last night and it didn't prompt me for this, so I'm not sure what the deal is. Okay, so yeah, this one, oh, video and file storage is full video. Okay, so I've maxed out my video and file. This one, like I said, you have to select the folders that you want to upload. So I have basically our photos directory selected, and anything you add to that when you run this application, they'll upload them and sync them. And then you can go on and view them online. You can download them. They do some little cutesy, see if I can get them out. Hopefully there's no embarrassing pictures on here that Valerie will make fun of for the rest of my life. Yeah, they'll go in here and do some cutesy Facebook stuff where they'll show you, the recent uploads. This is from about 13 years ago. They'll show you 1 year ago today, that type of thing. But they'll show you what you're using, and then you can go in here and download any of your video files. So if your computer gets smashed or destroyed or something like that happens, you just sign into Amazon, and you can download everything back into your computer. So it's safe. Excuse me. So that's definitely something good to look at if you are a Microsoft Office 365 customer, which basically that's where you can use Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. I use that. I highly recommend it. Microsoft Office will run you around $300 for the full-blown or the base package. For $100 a year, you can install Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Excel on up to 5 of your computers, I believe. Well, that also comes with a 1 terabyte, what they call SkyDrive. So I use that. It's a lot like OneBox in that they call it OneDrive now. I'm sorry.
Hey, Todd.
It's just like Dropbox. Yep, go ahead.
They we get it through GoDaddy, and it's like $6.99 a month for the Microsoft 360.
Yeah, is that for 5 computers still?
Yeah.
Good deal. Okay. So Shawn said through GoDaddy it's $6.99 a month, so that ends up being what, $80? That's like a $10 savings. That also comes with 1 terabyte, which 1 terabyte is a large amount of space when it comes to videos and photos. And that comes free with your Office 365. So that's something else to think about. I have that filled with all my business stuff basically is on there, as well as I have the pictures on there also. So, when we upload pictures, they get stored on our computers and then they get uploaded to OneDrive. And then to Amazon. But OneDrive, as I mentioned, it's a little different where it just shows up like it's part of your computer. So like if like when I browse the business here, and if I double click on, I don't know, let me think of something. Yeah, this is something I've copied, I don't know when. But when I click on this, this is actually stored on my computer, and it is in OneDrive, or what's called in the cloud, basically. So it's in both locations at the same time. So you don't have to really do an upload process or anything. It just keeps it in sync automatically for you. The other nice thing is if you're ever out of town or on vacation or whatever, you can sign in to like the OneDrive website and browse to all your files at the same time. So you can access them remotely because it's kept in sync. So that's something that, like I said, if you have a lot of pictures or, especially family members or precious photos, that's very much recommended to do.
We have that. I mean, I don't think I've ever used the storage, but we use Google Drive.
Yep.
So you get 100 gigabytes for $1.99 a month.
Yeah, that's cheap too.
Or $9.99 a terabyte, or $99.99 for 10 terabytes. So what we're doing is like all these Zooms that get saved. Well, first of all, it puts a folder on your computer. So then it's always syncing things. So when you put things, go to Google Drive and create documents or whatever, it will put them in that folder on the computer. And the reverse is also true. When you put anything in that folder, it's going to upload it automatically into Google Drive. So what we're doing is, for example, all the Zooms, I have the folder to save them goes directly into that folder on my computer. So
Okay.
they're automatically uploaded into Google Drive, so we never lose them, or if Valerie or somebody needs to access one of them, they can all access them, and the spreadsheets we do and everything else we work on goes directly into there. So they're automatically, as soon as they're saved, they're accessible by multiple computers. So all my computers in my office and my computer at home all have that folder synced to them.
Yep.
So I can access the same data from anywhere, and I also have a backup of it.
Yeah, and that's super. And that was the folder interface that I was describing. What Shawn was just saying is that there's no second step. He basically just saves it to this folder, and then it automatically gets synced with Google. It's on his computer, and it syncs with all the other computers that are linked that he gives access to. So that's a great way to share files, and all of them support the ability to, like, if you fire somebody, you can just disassociate their computer, and it will no longer give them access to stuff. So it's fairly secure as well. But Google, I think iCloud has one that you can pay for now also through Apple. There is OneDrive, Dropbox. I think all of them are fine. It's just, pick one and use it. I think the best one to use is the one that you will use, essentially. So you get caught up in the chat. Barry asks, which browser do I think is the best to use and the safest? Honestly, I don't, other than usability and sometimes speed, and that seems to go back and forth, I think all of them are fine. I use Chrome a lot just because it syncs my bookmarks, which is a feature that seems to elude the other browsers without the add-in. For the most part, Mozilla started adding it, but they're all pretty much equivalent, I think, from a security standpoint. Microsoft gets a lot of digs in the Internet Explorer. It used to be crappy, but it's come a long way, and I think it's just fine. So I think any of the big three you'll be fine with. I know as an Amazon seller, the majority of extensions are in Chrome, And up until recently, Inventory Lab would only work in Firefox. So I ran all three of them. But I would say, whichever one you like using the best would be the best. I would stick with those three, though. Safari, if you're a Mac user, but just stick with those three. I wouldn't go with any of the other, alternate browsers, just because, like I said, they don't have, the millions of dollars of R&D being put into them all the time. Pam said, thank you. You're certainly welcome. Hopefully, we could just save one account from getting hacked. This would be definitely a worthwhile one. Kelly said, what do you mean about going through GoDaddy? Shawn, was that on GoDaddy's website?
Well, we register, domains and all that stuff. It's all run. All our websites are run through GoDaddy, so they have that as a product you can buy. I assume you can buy it standalone, but I just posted the link on Amazon. They've got the 1 year of Microsoft Office for $80.77.
Oh, that's a great deal.
So, that's just the key card. So you get a year, 5 PCs or 5 Macs, of course. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Outlook, ongoing upgrades, 1 terabyte of OneDrive storage, for $80. So,
yeah, and they word it kind of funny here where it says 1 terabyte OneDrive online storage for up to 5 users. That's 1 terabyte per user. So the way it works, I will show you here real quick if I can remember where to get to the web page. The way it works is you buy this code and you go and register, and then you can either send invitations or you can authorize users to install it.
right.
Now, technically, it's supposed to be only members of your household, but we're not the morality police. I'll leave it up to you. But basically, you send a link or authorize people, and they will then get a link that they can install it. And then they each get 1 terabyte. They each get the 60 minutes of Skype per month, and they each get full versions of all these Office packages.
I'm really not sure that you can't use it for work. I think the home subscription just means, that's the version, what they're calling it.
Yeah.
I believe I have the home subscription, and I registered obviously I'm a business owner registering, through a website, hosting company.
Sure.
Bought it, and I got the same plan.
Yeah, you're right. You can use it at work. What I was referring to is giving one code to grandma who lives in Kansas and one to your cousin in California, outside your household. But you can use it on any of your devices, so including your iPad. So you can install Office 365 on your home computer, your work iPhone, and your home iPhone. So certainly you're correct there.
If you want to buy it for your iPad, I know because I tried doing it, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and they wanted $80 for the iOS version anyway. So
yeah,
I wasn't going to do that. But I didn't even realize that this version I already have, I could do that as well.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal deal. Like I said, Office is, well, let's see. How much is Office on Amazon? I am confident that it's way more than this annual price to buy Microsoft Office, and you have to buy software assurance to get updates. So here's a home and student download, $124.99, which that you have to have a EDU email address. The regular one is, let me see it here, $107.99. So to buy the current version, and you own it forever, it's going to run you $107. Office Professional is $169, or for $80 a year, you can always have, and you get the newest version as soon as it's out. Whenever they release a new version, you'll sign in and they'll say, we're updating the components, and it installs a small piece of it on your computer, and then the rest of it's from the internet. But you can use it without internet connectivity. They'll update your version and the way you go. So it's, a lot of companies are moving to this. It's, if you ever hear the IT term software as a service, SaaS, this is kind of what they're referring to, where you don't really have a CD that you install and you own it. You have software that they provide on a subscription model, basically. That's a phenomenal deal. And I'm glad you found that $80 a year. That's cheaper by far than what I paid, basically. And again, it comes with that 1 terabyte, which goes right back to what we were talking about doing backups and stuff. The one thing to remember about OneDrive and Dropbox and really all of them is your data is not encrypted. So you can store files on there, but don't think that you have a high degree of sophisticated confidentiality. I mean, no one's going to browse your data, but nothing is to stop anyone if they get a copy of your data from using it. It's not encrypted. So I just wouldn't store anything with, your full account number up there, or, if you have millions in a safe deposit box, I wouldn't save the combination up there, or the location, that type of thing. But for photos and videos and everything else, it's perfectly fine. Let's see if we cover everything. I think that's all the questions in the chat. I know there's a lot of information, but these are all recorded, so feel free to review it. Or if you have a question, post it in the Facebook group and tag us. I don't mind helping anyone out on any of this stuff because I think it's important, and I hate seeing people lose data. That's a sick feeling, to lose a bunch of stuff or to lose access to your account. So just to review real quick, look for the padlock. Make sure you use complex passwords, preferably different on every site. Protect your email account password like it's your life. Use a combination of malware bytes and your favorite antivirus software, and back up your photos. There's your little short list of to-dos. You're welcome, Kelly. If there are no other questions, do you have anything, Shawn?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I think that's it. We'll see you guys next week.